the last cooking video, I wanted to make another video that just does a quick and easy recipe that you can do any weeknight, whenever, just super quick, straight to the point. I wanted to make some Salisbury steak with gravy, and then we'll make a little rice to put it on top. So first off, we're gonna start with a pound of ground beef. So I hate touching meat, so bear with your girl. We're gonna take the ground beef and pop it in our bowl. Ew. We're gonna do that. So we got the ground beef. I'm gonna take 1/4 a cup of breadcrumbs because it will need breadcrumbs. And then I also chopped up some onion finely. I like to chop my onion finely because I do not like to bite down on onion. It's my least favorite thing. So that will kind of cook in the meatballs while it's in the gravy. So we'll pop that in the bowl. Then I've also beat 1 large egg. So we're gonna put in, I don't know if you can see it, I'm really great at spilling stuff, but we'll pop that right into the bowl. Make sure you get that. And then I also like to put a little minced garlic. I'm not chopping garlic myself. I don't know about you, but that's my least favorite thing to do also. Y'all, I'm gonna put like 2 little baby spoonfuls of that. That's probably a tablespoon if I'm eyeballing it. I also, fun story, I was chopping up these onions and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like get my things together, and I'm like chopping up the onions and I am bawling, crying. I'm like, this is so embarrassing. I can't film right now because I need to wait for my eyeballs to catch back up. I don't want y'all to think I was like crying before I started making this video. So we've got the ingredients in, and I like to, with seasonings, I'm not super crazy about being like 1 teaspoon of this, 1 teaspoon of that. Ground beef takes a good amount of salt to like get flavor in it. I typically like to do this part myself, and because we're going to be using some chicken stock later in the gravy, and I'll be salting the gravy too, I don't want to over salt the meat, but that's some sea salt. I'm going to put in some black pepper. I'm also going to put pepper in the gravy. We have some garlic powder. Since we put garlic in, I'm not going to put that much garlic powder, but you know how to season beef. I'm going to put in a little bit of garlic salt too. So clearly, Michelle likes garlic, right? And then I'm going to put in some onion powder. So that's our basic seasoning mix to start. We're going to get in here, but we got a few more special ingredients that I want to go in here. Okay, so now that we've got like our basic ingredients in, we're going to add in a few things that give it that extra little zhuzh. I'm going to take, look, I need to show this. I'm going to put in, ooh, y'all, I never eat ketchup. This ketchup is purely for guests, but I'm gonna put in 2 teaspoons of ketchup. Yummy. Oh. You know, we're gonna get this right. I'm a perfectionist, so bear with me. I'm going to be trying to push through my perfectionist ways this entire video. After we do that, we're going to add in, 1 teaspoon. And you can be a little messy if you need be, but the point is to get in 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And then I'm going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And I'm probably gonna add just a little more, to be honest. Do you, but I know what I need. I always like to tell people to season your meat to like your flavor profile, your taste, because that's definitely what I like to do. Now that I have all of our ingredients into our wet mixture, take your hands, ground this up, get it ground together really well. Make sure you're mixing and getting your onions and your breadcrumbs together really well. The egg is gonna help bind as well as the breadcrumbs. That's what they're for. So I like to do this. I can kind of tell by the way ground beef smells. And if you know, like if you've ever made a burger, you don't really have to over season ground beef. But I find like sometimes when I'm making like little patties that I just need to make sure that the mixture, I can smell my ingredients. And then whenever I'm done, I just add a little extra sprinkle of salt because I just feel like I should. And that's it, because I don't want it to be over seasoned. Like I said, we are going to be adding it into our gravy, which is going to be made with a stock, and stocks are always salty too, so just be careful with that when you're seasoning your ground beef, because it's also going to go in a little bit of like salty ingredients. So I'm going to move this around a little more. Give my hands a little washy because I want to add in no more salted ingredients, but you can never go wrong with flavor. So I'm going to add in a little more garlic powder and a little more onion powder. And then I'm going to give that its final little pull through. Also, when you're flipping your ground beef, be really gentle with it, because you can actually make your patties, if you're just beating and grounding the ground beef, you can kind of make your patties a little dry. So if you want to keep like a little moisture to your meat mixture, just kind of move it around with your hands. You don't got to you don't got to beat it, okay? Be tender with it. Tender is the word. Be tender with it. So the meat mixture should look really mixed up. Oh, that's so gross to me, but it's gonna be so good in the end. But this is like the mixture that we're making with our ground beef. While this is going, I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do next. So we're gonna form patties so they're ready for the stove to cook. We're gonna do that. While we're doing that, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm using the rice cooker today, so we're gonna take, I've already pre-washed 1 cup of, you know I can't flip this over, 1 cup of white rice, 2 parts water. We've talked about this before. We're talking about cooking it on the stove. And I'm just gonna get my rice cooker going so the rice can already be cooking. In the meantime, we're gonna form these patties with our lovely hands. Depending on how many patties you want, that's up to you and your fam. I cook, and I'm actually just gonna start like sharing my cooking with others, because baby, who eats 1 pound of ground beef? Not the kid. So I just take a little bit in my hand. Like I said, be gentle with your patties. You don't have to like super overform them. You can just kind of make them like so, like that, like Tab says. And you'll know like how big you want your patty. You can make them small. You can make them meatballs if you want to. You can do whatever you want. But you know, Salisbury steak is made into a patty. We'll see how many we get. That's cute. So just take your time and do that. Make the patties. Maybe we'll get 5. So we gonna see. But you want to make sure that they're sticking together, that they're sturdy. Anything that you lose in the first part of cooking will just end up in your gravy anyway. And I don't ever find anything wrong with that. So like I said, I think we're gonna get 5. What's that, 1, 2, 3? This is 4. That would be a big patty. I'm gonna take a piece of that. And we're just forming patties. That's all we're doing. Y'all, this always warms my heart. I like really love to cook. I like to, which one? I'm gonna add a little something to that little baby right there, because I don't want this one to be like a big fat huge patty. I'm picking up onions out of here. But like I was saying, I love cooking. I love putting stuff together. I was telling my friend that I was gonna make another cooking video because the cooking video like did really well. So I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna make like Salisbury steak with some rice and some gravy. And he was like, geez, it's like a mommy meal. And shout out to my mom because she taught me how to cook. Like, at least she taught me how to be up in the kitchen. She might not have taught me all the things I know, but that is the first person I call when I'm like, hey, what am I supposed to do with this? Or how do I make this? And she'll give me a recipe. So I have a lot of my mother's recipes written down. We're gonna be able to keep my mother's traditions forever. We've learned the grains, we've learned the lasagna, we've learned. My mother makes absolutely phenomenal chicken and dressing. And why we only eat it at the holidays, I don't know, because I would love to have it all the time. So my hands are kind of filthy, but we've got those patties all formed. The rice is going. So now we're gonna fry these babies and then we're gonna make our gravy. All right, so now we're over at the stove. We're gonna take just a little bit of, this is canola oil. I'm gonna get that warming up because we're going to, I usually just like to line. I'm gonna turn this up to like medium heat because we're just gonna brown the ground beef patties. I like to coat my cast iron skillet with the oil, so it's not too much. It's just enough, maybe 2 tablespoons or so. And we're gonna bring that up to a medium heat, and then we're gonna add in the beef patties. You'll be able to tell in your cast iron pretty quick. It's like a little ripple of oil, like little look that coats over it. So that's how you know it's kind of warmed up and ready for you. We will need 2 cups of your preference of broth. I don't care for beef broth. I find it a little more salty than chicken. That's on you. Do whatever you want, but you will need 2 cups of it. If you use store-made chicken stock, that's absolutely fine. I usually have some on hand, but I did use 2 bouillon cubes today. And I pre-made this just to make our recipe, which you can't see, of course, it's liquid, but I pre-made the chicken stock. So we'll be putting that in. All right, so I'm starting to see the waves in my pan. You don't wanna fry them. You just wanna lightly, we're going to take the ground beef patties, pop them in. We're just gonna brown them on each side. And then we're gonna end up taking them off and making our gravy. So we just want them like lightly brown. Like I said, we're not trying to fry them, but we do want them to get brown. So I am gonna pop them in because I want them to cook slow. Like I don't wanna put them in and they're like, shh, you know, making the fry sound. I don't wanna do that. I wanna pop them in and have them cook slowly. Beef, if you cook it too fast, you can really make it, what's the word I'm looking for? I always freeze when I'm trying to think of my cooking words. You don't want to have them be hard and dry. That's the word. You don't want them to be dry. You want them to have moisture. That's the whole point. You want them to melt apart in your gravy. And you know, you gotta be able to make those perfect spoons with that rice. So I'm starting to hear them. I'm gonna let them cook for a little bit on one side, and then we're gonna flip them over and brown them on the other side, and then we'll be taking them off. All right, now you guys hear that. Now we're cooking with fire, as they say. You can hear them, you can hear how they're cooking. You know how ground beef sounds. You made yourself a hamburger. Like I said, we're not trying to cook these like a hamburger. We want them to finish cooking and getting in the gravy and doing all that. But since we've got them going, I try to remember what's the first one I put in. It's brown on one side, so I'm gonna flip it over. Yeah, that's looking good, y'all. This is one of my favorite quick dinners. Every time I say that, I'm like, oh my God, it's definitely not quick right now because your girl is talking and cooking, but they're doing exactly what I want. Oh yeah. Don't press down too hard on your meat either. I know we're like, we want to do that, like help it cook faster. Do not do that. You want to keep all that juicy, lovely fat because it'll give your Salisbury steak some moisture. Alrighty, so I'm just sending my meat, I'm gonna flip it over one more time on the other side because I'm trying to make the patty hold together, and we're there. We don't want them to crack too much. Like, well, we don't mind a crack, but we don't want them to crack too much. So I'm gonna flip them over one more again. Yeah, it's looking good. I'm excited. You would think I eat so much food. Most of the time I'm eating like once a day at best. But when I cook, great. So, like I said, we're just trying to brown them a little bit. I'm gonna take them off and pop them on a plate. We're gonna put them to the side while we start to make our gravy. We need them to stay moist. Oh my God, your girl be cooking. Okay, so that's what they look like. We're gonna have them kind of chill out for a second. Okay, we're gonna take some of the pan drippings and then we're gonna make our gravy. Okay, so when I was talking about pan drippings, that's what I meant. Just little leftover yummy tidbits. Next I'm gonna take 2 tablespoons of butter and add that in the pan and kind of let it melt around, kind of season, kind of go around the pan a little bit and melt in with the pan drippings. Also, I have lowered the heat to just a little under medium. You want your gravy to kind of come up naturally. You don't want your gravy to, you know, boil too much, you know? So I just kind of swoosh that butter around, lift up those pan drippings. And there was like a little oil left in the pan drippings too. Not a lot. Because it's beef, it makes so much oil. You don't want that in your food. You don't want your stomach. So now that we've got that butter melted, we're gonna take our 2 cups of chicken stock. We're gonna pour that in. Yummy, yummy. You can pour it in slowly, like I said. You wanna like mix it with the butter, get everything going. Yum. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I know Salisbury steak is typically with ground beef, but you can make this with ground turkey if you prefer ground turkey. I've been like talking in my vlogs and telling people I have legitimately been craving ground beef. So I bought some. I don't know if I need iron or what, but I bought some. Now that we got the chicken stock in, we turned it down so we could do the butter. We don't want to burn the butter, but we wanted the butter to get up all the drippings of the pan. Now that we have that going and we poured in our chicken stock, we are going to turn it up a little past medium, just get the chicken stock to kind of boil a little bit so that we can put our flour in to start making the gravy. I like to season the gravy once I've kind of got it up and going. I don't season the chicken stock. But this is gonna be where we're doing a big taste test because you don't wanna have like your meat be salty and then your gravy be salty. we're trying to have everything taste just right. So I'm gonna bring this stock up to a boil and then we'll get to the next part. Checking my rice over here in the rice cooker. Look, it's doing what the rice cooker do what it's supposed to do. It does not really need my assistance, so that's what's happening up there. The chicken stock is boiling. Yeah. All right, so now that we got the chicken stock up to a boil, we're gonna take a little bit of flour. And by a little bit, I mean 2 tablespoons of flour. We're gonna put that in and then we're gonna whisk it. Whisk it. And honestly, we're gonna do this the way I would do it. I like to put a little flour, whisk, a little flour, whisk. So that way your gravy doesn't build too fast and you have clumps, okay? That's a real granny tip for you right there. Turn it down just a little bit. It's still okay to make it boil, but you don't wanna have it like coming up and like leaving a little foam for you. But we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of the flour. As you can see, it's kind of already making this kind of yummy gravy consistency. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely a mama meal, okay? He wasn't far off. He's telling the truth. Now, depending on how thick you like your gravy, you decide. I'm gonna start with like a thin gravy for mine. I just want it to be enough to put on my rice, baby. Like I said, make sure you're whisking. Don't just keep adding the flour. You do not want it to be clumpy. Make sure you're getting those out. I got a little small whisk too that I'm gonna go back through it with and just get those little clumps out. Baby, my whisk has seen the test of time. Look at that thing. It isn't even a whisk at this point. Let me move this flour off the stove. I'm gonna get my little whisk and show you what I mean. So I have like a little whisk, look at that. Is it not cute? Kitchen things are the cutest. Look at this whisk. My mom gave this to me the last time I was home. She gave me like a bunch of little tools and I was like, what am I gonna do with this? Like my mom's always trying to get me to get something. And I'm just like, Mom, what am I gonna do with these little minuscule kitchen things? I've used every single one of them. Like oh my God, I have flour all over me. Of course. Anyway, I got a few little chunky bunkies in there. You can peel them out if you like. Most of the time you don't have to. Keep whisking. This is the part where I like to salt my things. Salt my things. Sorry, now I'm like whisking for dear life trying to get my extra little flour chunks on. I'm gonna turn this down a little more to low because we don't want to keep like making it boil because it's just gonna get smaller and smaller and smaller. And you do want to keep your liquid because you do want some gravy on the thing. Ooh, I love seeing the pan chunks in there, baby. Love it. I only have a few flour chunks left. Like I said, this is one of our parts where we get to season, salt, and like taste our food. That gravy is looking delicious. Alrighty, so on to the fun part. I tasted my gravy a little bit and it definitely needs a little salt. Not a lot. Like I said, just a little. We're gonna do this part to taste because that's what we should do. I like kind of peppery gravy, so I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper, a little bit of garlic salt, not a lot. You saw me eyeball it. Onion powder, which I'm trying to run out of, so I can use my new one, and then some garlic powder. I'm gonna give that a little stir around. Y'all see how that gravy look? A true Southern gal. A true Southern gal. It looks so good. I can't wait to put the patties back in it. All right, let's do a little taste. Don't burn your tongue. I'm talking to myself. This would be my first though. Look, I ain't cooking for nobody but me, so I'm eating out of this pan. I'm double dipping. I want to add more garlic salt. That's gonna be the end of that, but I'm gonna add a little bit of more pepper, more garlic, more onion. Use it, use it, use it. Almost. Give it another stir again. Scrape your little sides. Baby, your girl's a whiz. Oh, it looks so good. Okay, let's give it a taste now. That's probably where I'm gonna leave it because I don't want it to be too salty. Perfecto. It's so good. Oh yes. The last step is where we're gonna let our beef come up and like continue to cook. We're just gonna put our patties, our lovely patties, back into, I'm gonna use my hands, back into the gravy. Like so. Ooh, child, that one falls apart, but we'll let that one be mine. Put that in there. And I'm gonna turn them back up just a little. Use your discretion. What I am gonna do is, since they've been submerged on one side, I'm gonna flip them. And then, oh yes, oh my God. Every step of the way, I'm excited about my meal. Like I said, turn up a little, not quite medium, but just enough to finish cooking the beef. Ladle over some of the gravy over the beef so they can just start getting in all the little crevices of the meat. But because we season that gravy so well, I'm gonna cover this and just let it cook a little bit. I feel like, oh my God. I'm gonna cover them, let those cook. Maybe just letting them like get together and marry the flavors of the gravy and everything. I would do about 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't take beef that long to cook, we know that. The rice is done. I've turned off the rice maker. I'm just letting it like get the rice like really moist. So we're gonna let this finish going and then we'll plate up. Okay, so I got the plate together. I gotta show y'all. I put a little bit on the plate. I got the rice, a little bit of gravy. I put one patty. That's one patty, but I'm gonna tell you what, as the chef, typically not that hungry after I cook, but rice first. Okay. Bussin'. Bussin'. All right. Thank you so much for watching the videos. If you haven't already, make sure that you leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up, as well as hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I make more of these yummy cooking quick meals. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you try the recipe and let me know how you like it.